So hello, welcome back to yet again another mackerel fishing video. Now today we've got an absolutely scorcher of a day. It's lovely. The wind chill's a little cold, but apart from that the temperature's rather nice for this time of year. Now we're in the middle of March, or sort of third week into March now, and we've had a good run of mackerel so far this year. So I've come out again to target them today from the shore, just using little metal jigs. Now the jigs I'm going to be using are by Waylander Fishing. Now, I'll give you a proper show of these afterwards, but I'm actually going to start today with one of the 40-gram versions. This one's called the Bullet Minnow. Now, a couple months back I came down here and did some mackerel fishing, was using this exact lure and had a few. And then last week I was also down here using the other version of their metal lure, which I believe is called the Drift and Slide. That's a 30-gram version, and I had a few on that as well. So far they've been absolutely brilliant for this. Hopefully you can see that there, fresh out the packet. Got a lovely sort of sandy imitation with the colours on this one. This one's got a little treble on the back because the other day the mackerel were actually quite small and they proved quite difficult to hook whilst using a bigger assist hook. So I changed over to a lure with a small treble on the back, and that's when I started finding them. Get rid of that rubbish. And then, same as the last video, I'm using my Shimano Technium today, 21 to 54 gram. The reason I bought the heavier lure rod is because I thought the wind would be a bit stronger, but it's actually not too bad. But 8-foot Shimano Technium 21 to 54 gram rod, and on there I've got Shimano Twin Power 20-pound braid, which is from Samson Fishing. I'm using 3.5 foot of 20-pound fluorocarbon to my lure clip and then down to the lure. So I'm not going to waste any time, because when people know the mackerel are about, these spots get very busy. So I'm going to see if I can get a few. I really don't need many at all. I've actually got some in my fridge at home already, which were kindly given to me by Jay yesterday. So I've come out just to collect a few for some family and friends and have a bit of fun. Hopefully we can find them. So there's a bit of a closer look at the lure. 40 grams. This thing's going to absolutely fire out there. So off we go to start with, just letting that lure sink, and quite simply just going to bounce it back in. I'm fairly confident of catching a few mackerel today. As I said in the last video, there's been a lot of them around, a lot of them offshore. So obviously we're getting drips and drabs of them closer inshore as well, which is really great for this time of year. I always switch up the retrieves as well. Sometimes I'll do a slower pitch jig, and other times I'll do a much faster jig and really get that lure going. Mackerel are very active obviously, so they're never shy to hit anything, especially when it's travelling at a high speed. It's also handy just to bounce it near the bottom as well. And with spots like this, you never really know what you're going to get. Got a little tangle there. But yeah, you never really know what you're going to get. You could hook a bass, you could hook a wrasse. Obviously you're going to get things like garfish. If you're lucky, you might get a bream. So let's just see. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to find them. So when that tide drops a bit, I'm going to get down onto these rocks. I've just come up onto this high rock here to have a few flicks around this area. I might even change the lure to a brighter colour. That 30-gram version I've got is a bright pink colour and really stands out. It's got a different action to this one. But in all honesty, I'm confident in both the lures. Mackerel love a metal. I'm in. Or I think I'm in. It's not fighting much. What the hell is that? Is that a sand eel? That's a sand eel. Oh no, it's a little baby garfish. Well, look at the size of him. Absolutely tiny. I thought it was a launce by the size of it. Little baby garfish. There we go. Little tiny garfish there. I think that's probably the smallest one I've ever caught. Off he goes. Well, not what we want. Those things absolutely stink. Cover you in scales, and they smell terrible. I think that's what puts a lot of people off eating them. That, along with their green flesh. But they can become a right nuisance when you're fishing for mackerel and there's loads of them about, so I'm hoping there's not too many around. I knew I had a fish on then, but as I said, there was no fight at all. Now, if that was a big launch, that would have been a good sign. We're seeing those this close in this time of year. We should get all the little tiny pin sand deals show up very soon. I don't bloody believe it. It's another one, look. Hooked by the tail. It's just popped off the hook and fallen back into the water there. I was just about to say this wasn't the plan. I don't want to be hooking these all day. He didn't quite make it. He was close, but not quite close enough. Right, where are the mackies? They're not here at the moment. Oh, it's another bloody garfish, is it? Yeah. Little buggers. Well, could this be a small mackerel? No, it doesn't really. Feels like another garfish. Probably foul hooks. Oh no, it is a little mackerel. There we go. Happy days. I'll stand corrected. So as I cast, whoa, don't want that in the hand. As I cast out then, literally just said, where are the mackerel? I literally said, where are the mackerel? And there we go, there's the first one down. Well, that was over there in that direction, and I let that sink pretty deep. Letting that line out. Sometimes you'll get hit now. They'll be like bang, straight on it. You're casting into them. Yep. There we go, they're out there now. That treble hook's really working well at the back over the assist hook. You see what I mean? They're a long way out. I'm only reeling sort of 4 or 5 times and then hooking up. There it comes. There we go, a bit nicer that one. So literally what I'm going to do is just unhook these fish. I'm going to give them a knock on the head, which I won't show on camera. Put them down to one side and get straight back out there. So we go again. Now you can see what I'm doing is waiting until the line tightens up and I have contact with the lure. Letting some more line out. Yep, they're on it. Oh, I could have sworn I had a hit then. Yep, I'm on again. See, when you find them, you find them. And that goes to show I'm not casting in any different area than I was before. Just shows that they just weren't in here. They've obviously come in now to feed on whatever. This one's down there. Come on, my friend. Oh, he's stuck. Excellent. 3 and 3. Well, we've gone from not finding them whatsoever to 3 and 3 casts. So let's keep going. I'm covered in scales already. Hopefully we can find a few more. So I've just had a little breather. Little quick coffee break, and I've made my way down onto these rocks now because the tide is completely, well, not covering them anymore. So I'm going to continue with this lure for a moment, but then I think I might change to the lighter pink version and see how we get on with that. So far, honestly, what a day. Absolutely beautiful today. Really feels like spring is here. A little early, but I think the clocks go back a week on Sunday. Sorry, they go forward a week on Sunday. So start getting those extra hours of daylight after work and in the evenings to come out and do things like this. So you can see I'm much closer to the water's edge now. A lot easier to bring the fish in. It also means I'm going to be able to target this area as well. So I'll continue just chucking lures about, covering all the ground, seeing where the mackerel are swimming next. Because I know I've said it a lot of times on these videos, but especially down at this spot, 1 minute you can be hooking them over there, 5 minutes later they're over there. They really do move around a lot. Sometimes they can be very close in, and sometimes you'll hook up as soon as you cast out. So that's why covering as much ground as possible when you're targeting any fish really, but certainly when you're doing this, it really does help. Mackerel are generally quite high up in the water column, but there's been plenty of times when I've come here and I've had to let the lure sink all the way to the bottom, and I've just been bouncing it off the bottom, and that's when I've been hooking up. The other good thing about that as well is you never know what else is down there. Like I said earlier, you could hook a little rogue bass or a bream. Obviously you've got garfish. You could end up hooking a gurnard, anything like that. So I hope that camera picked this up, because just as I was saying on this camera here about changing up the techniques, that time I was just bouncing it close to the bottom. This mackerel here took 5 meters out. So that goes to show, me casting that lure to the horizon and not hooking up the whole way in, and then seeing that there's a fish no more than 5 meters away from me. That's why it helps just to change the retrieves and target all the areas you can. And there we have it. There's me casting as far as I can get the lure out there. And that mackerel takes just in this section here. So we'll go out again, not as far this time. Letting it sink all the way to the bottom. The ground I'm fishing over is virtually just all sand. There is the odd snag out there, but it's virtually all just sand. So 9 times out of 10, is that a hit? No. Yeah, 9 times out of 10 you can get away with fishing the lure right next to the bottom. All I'm doing is just sink and draw, letting the lure sink. As soon as I feel it hit the bottom, lift up, wind in the slack, and that lure is just going to flutter like that next to the seabed and entice anything which is in its vicinity basically. So let's have a little change up for the lure. That was a little minnow that I was using. I've actually got a couple more of these with me, and the other ones are exactly the same lure, but instead of that treble they've got an assist hook on the front there with no hook on the back. So these are really good for if you really want to fish over snaggier ground, or just sort of lower your chances of snagging up. Less hook in the water, less chance of snagging up. But the lure I'm going to put on now is what I had the mackerel on last week. This is called, I think they're called the drift and slide, and it's sort of like a little fin. It's going to flutter more in the water, and we've got a lovely colour on that. So on a nice bright day like this, a bright lure works really well. Let's chuck this on and see what else we can find. So I'm going to start by doing the same thing with this lure, bouncing it along. It's just going to take a little longer to sink because it's 10 grams lighter. I'm amazed by how nice today has turned out. The weather is absolute, oh yeah, there we go. First cast. Bang. Yeah, the weather has turned out absolutely beautiful. And when you're catching beautiful tasting fish like this, on a little metal jig. What more could you ask for in life, eh? Yeah, I love it when they go somewhere and they get close in. Here he comes. First cast on that drift and slide. So that didn't take long. Another one bites the dust. Amazing hookups on all of these fish. And there we go, a lovely, beautiful, locally caught mackerel. Ah, starting to get a sweat on now. Any more for any more. So this type of fishing as well is obviously extremely simple and extremely easy. You don't need fancy gear for it. Any sort of light lure rod, or heavy if you prefer heavier. A few metal jigs. Go down to your local mackerel spot and just have some fun. The garfish are back. I was getting taps all the way in then. Little garfish following it in. I can't believe how small those garfish are. That first one I had is definitely the smallest I've ever caught before. You would have thought there'd be some bigger predatory fish in this area. Not maybe at this precise moment, but at some point throughout the day or overnight, because the amount of mackerel rounds, you've got tiny little garfish like that. I'm sure there are sand eels about somewhere. There's a lot of food in there, so you would have thought the predatory fish would be not far away. So I've just been sat down on the rocks for 10-15 minutes, taking in the scenery. Now I've got 5 mackerel, which is plenty because I've actually got 4 at home in my fridge. Sorry. Now I plan on cooking a few of these up later on today, which I'm still going to do. I'm just going to do something really simple. Now, if you've not seen the last catch and cook video on my channel, then go check that out. It's also a mackerel one. I cooked up this really lovely light, almost summery lunch, but it was absolutely fantastic. And thanks to everybody who's commented on that video. I really do appreciate all your positive comments. I hope you enjoy the content as always. So I'm probably going to give it another 10-15 minutes here. As I said, I don't need any more fish, I'm just fishing. And because it's so nice out here, it's just lovely to be outside. But soon I'm going to head off. If I get another fish in the next 4 or 5 casts, then I'll let you know. It is warm now. So that's it from this session. I got exactly what came down and got exactly what I needed, which was just a few mackerel for a feed. So stay tuned for the rest of this video, where later on today I'll be cooking some of these up and having a little snack. Okay, so welcome back. Now it's the next day. Yesterday when I was out fishing for these mackerel during the afternoon, I didn't actually have time to do the cook up that day. So I've decided to do it later on today. It really is dead easy. It's going to be super tasty, but it really is super simple as well. Now, in my last video which I uploaded, which was also a mackerel catch and cook, during the cooking session in that bit, I actually show how to fillet the fish. I thought I'd leave that out of this video this time, so if you'd like to know how to fillet the fish, and go check that video out. And there's also plenty more videos when I'm filleting bass, pollock, mackerel, etc. If you'd like to check those out as well. So having said that, as you can see, I've got my mackerel here all prepared. This is the 5 that I caught yesterday, so I've got 10 fillets out of here. I'm going to cook the whole lot because I'm going to have a little bit now and I'm going to have the rest of it later on. Now first things first, this is all seasoned up, ready to go. The oven is heated, preheated, so it's ready to go in. I'm going to cook these for 10 minutes, then I'm going to let them cool, and then I'll show you what I'm doing with them. So there we go, 10 minutes time, they're going to be good. I'm going to leave them cool for about 10-15 minutes and then I'll prepare everything. Okay, so while that mackerel is cooking, it's got about 5 minutes left. I'm just going to quickly pickle some cucumber. Now, I have actually just realised I'm pretty low on white wine vinegar. So I'm hoping that's going to be enough. But literally just get yourself a little speed peeler like that, and we're just going to do strips of cucumber. Go down the other side. Now you kind of want to avoid the seeds in this because cucumbers are about 90% water and the seeds contain a lot of that. So there we go. I'll use that for something else. And we've got our ribbons there of cucumber. So into that, what I'm going to add is some caster sugar. Just a nice little sprinkling in there. Going to give it a little sweetness, obviously. Touch more. Then we're going to add some salt. And then the vinegar. And that is literally it. So we're going to mix that up nicely. And we're just going to let it stand. And that's going to slowly pickle away. And there we have it. So our mackerel just come out the oven. Nicely cooked through. So I'm just going to set this to one side, let it cool down, and then I'll take you through the rest. Okay, so that mackerel is still pretty warm, but it's cool enough to handle now. I'm literally just going to peel off the chunks like that and peel off the skin. I don't want the skin in there, just all those flaky bits of meat. Now this is obviously dead easy to do. I decided to go down the easy route just for time, really. But like I always say with fish as well, you don't need to tamper with it. The taste of the fish itself does all the speaking in a dish. So once we've got all of these into the bowl here, I'm literally just going to add some mayonnaise, some horseradish, I've got some chili flakes, I've got some lemon zest, and I've got some fresh parsley. I'll season it up, bind it all together, and I've got some washed baby gem lettuce over there. And we're just going to do little quenelles in some baby gem with that pickled cucumber as a little snack. Now later on, I'm actually having this again with my girlfriend. This will be dinner tonight, and I'm currently proving a loaf of bread. I've just made a loaf of bread and it's proven over there. So if that's done in time, I'll give you a little show of it. I'm not going to have any now because I'm just going to have a light snack and save myself for later on. But yeah, if the bread's ready in time before I finish this video, I'll give you a little show of it. There we go. There's the meat in there. Let's get it seasoned up, get the rest of the ingredients in, and we'll get eating. Right, let's move that knife out of the way. So rather than add it straight into here, because that's still slightly warm, I'm just going to add some mayonnaise into a bowl. That should be enough, maybe a little bit more. Now if there's any excess of this left over, I can use that for something else. Got mayonnaise in, and I want a good heaped teaspoon of horseradish. Now this stuff isn't actually that hot, so I'm going to put a little extra in as well. I'm going to add a few chili flakes because I don't want to blow my girlfriend's head off. So a few chili flakes go into there. And then we've got our lemon zest. I'm adding all of that. Pepper. Plenty of black pepper. Sea salt. And then parsley. Nice bit of parsley in there. And I'm also going to just rub a lemon like that. It will soften it up. You get more juice out of it. Just a little wedge of lemon juice in there as well. And then you can see there, lovely, fresh, fragrant flavour. Give that a mix up. You can add anything you want to this. You know, I'm just adding the things I've got. I've had to buy very little ingredients to do this. So that's all nicely mixed up in there. Now we can add it to this, and you just want enough to bind it. So I'm going to start with that. And check that out. I mean, oh, a bit of bread, you could just smash that straight in there. And I'm just going to bind it together. I don't want it to turn to mush. I want to keep those flakes of fish. So literally, that's probably the perfect amount there to bind that all together like that. And you can use any herbs in this. I'm using parsley because that's what I've got. You could use chervil, chives, anything you like. Any nice fresh green herb. But the lemon zest is essential. So there we have it, ready to go. Very, very light snack because I want to keep the majority of this for later on. Now literally just get 2 spoons and you can just start to mould that mix together. Lay it onto one of those lovely fresh gem lettuce. I'm going small quenelles because if I eat all of this, there's not going to be anything for dinner later on. So another one in there. And then just move those to one side a second. Little bit of that mixture left over. I'm just going to smash a bit of that on the plate. We've got that lovely pickled cucumber, which is going to go nicely on top. And oh, this is going to be great. Now I've also got, I made a just a very basic dressing the other day, which again I have very little left of, but I'm going to put a bit of that around. There's literally hardly any left in here. And I'm also going to add a little bit of sriracha. Now I like hot things, so with that horseradish in there, the chili flakes, I'll have a few little pretty dots around as well. And there we go, a lovely little snack, fresh local mackerel. All you need is that lovely bit of bread to go with it. Oh yeah, nice. Now literally with this, just gonna go all in. Sauce, dressing, sriracha. Tell you what, got some heat to it. That is lovely. Fresh, fragrant. The pickled cucumber with it. With that bread later on, I reckon that bread's got about 10-15 minutes left of proving. And then I'm going to cook it. It will take about 20 minutes to cook. So once it's cooked, I'll give you a little show. But that bread with this later on is going to be excellent. Oh, amazing. It actually reminds me a little bit of something we used to do in the past, where you rip off the whole leaves from an iceberg lettuce, dip them into boiling water for a second, and then literally put them into ice cold water straight away. You make a very, very similar mix with crab meat, white crab meat, lots of herbs, lemon, salt and pepper, pretty much the same as this. And then roll them up in the lettuce leaves. Roll them up really, really tight, cut them in half, and you got little, kind of like little lettuce spring rolls. They're absolutely incredible. And just eating this now, it's just popped into my head. It reminded me of that. So maybe when it's spider crab season, that'll be something I could do possibly. Absolutely lovely. Simple, easy to do, no faffing about, loads of flavour. What more could you want? So on that note, I'm going to leave this video here. I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. As I think I said earlier in the video, thank you very much to everybody who commented on the last mackerel video. Really appreciate all the positive feedback, and I'm glad you've enjoyed it. So when you start to see your mackerel throughout the summer or early springtime, consider doing something like this. Simple, easy, and brilliant to eat. Thank you very much for watching this video. I thoroughly appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.